Comic book movies are a dime a dozen these days, and have saturated the market to the point that comics are getting movie deals before the first issue even hits the store shelf. But that certainly wasn't always the case. Prior to X-Men in 2000, the few comic book movie related films we did get were never advertised as such, and the only ones that were the ones that had reached household name status, like Superman, Batman, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Though that last one probably had less to do with its comic book roots, and more to do with the fact that it was quickly becoming the biggest pop cultural phenomenon since, well, ever. And kids, myself included, dragged their disinterested parents to the theaters just to see the iconic Turtles on the big screen. But does this theatrical nostalgia trip hold up after all these years? Or is it just one of those childhood memories that are better off left in the past? Let's find out in Hail Zeon's review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. In New York, the crime wave is high and the muggings mysterious. All police and detectives are furious, because they can't find the source of this lethally evil force. And I could probably get away with quoting the Turtle Power rap and calling it a synopsis, but that might get old after a while. So yeah, the streets of New York have been hit by a mysterious crime wave, with many people getting robbed at an alarming rate with few clues left behind. The ones responsible are a band of teenage ninja thieves called the Foot, and the only ones who have been able to interfere with their plans are a group of 4 giant turtles. Okay, now if you're not familiar with TMNT, then strap yourself in, because shit is going to get really weird from here. The turtles were covered in a strange ooze and found in the sewers by a rat named Splinter. The ooze mutated them into more humanoid forms, and the 4 turtles were raised by the rat, who formally trained them in the martial arts, and named them after Renaissance artists, specifically Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. Yeah, like I said, shit's gonna get weird. As the story progresses, the turtles make a couple of new friends, Casey Jones, a hockey mask wearing vigilante, and April O'Neil, a reporter that catches the Foot's eye by calling a lot of attention to their criminal actions. So much so that their mysterious metal-clad leader, known only as the Shredder, demands that she be killed. Raphael catches them in the act and saves April, but this also makes the turtles' existence known to the Foot, and the Shredder puts out the order for them to be taken out as well. And that's your basic premise for the film. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie is quite a unique piece for a couple of reasons. The first being that comic book movies were a rare commodity at the time, and for one to be made from a comic book that was a mere 6 years old was completely unheard of. The second is fidelity to source material, something that doesn't happen too often in comic book movies, even today. And I'm not talking about standalone graphic novels. That's cheating. I mean adapting a long-running mythos into a single feature-length film. Most comic book movies either just tell their own take on the comic book series, or try to modernize it to overcome the shortcomings of the dated source material. TMNT had no such shortcomings, since the comic was written in the mid-80s, and it had an origin story that was a bit more palatable to current movie-going audiences. In fact, most of the story was a straight adaptation of Eastman and Laird's work, mostly pulling from TMNT Issue 1, Raphael Issue 1, Leonardo Issue 1, and TMNT Issues 10 and 11, and streamlining them into a single coherent story. And what the writers don't lift from the comics, they pull from the 1987 cartoon, like its comedic tone, April's occupation as a reporter, the turtles' different colored headbands, their love of pizza, as well as their more defined personality, since the comic versions were rather bland, though Raphael maintained the short temper of his printed page counterpart. And all of these elements blended into Mirage's story and dark atmosphere not only made a stronger narrative, but also an iteration of TMNT that was able to stand head and shoulders above its 2 source materials by incorporating the best of both worlds. Now, fidelity doesn't automatically equal quality, but luckily for this film, it had a very well written script to back it up. Where the writing really shines is in the exchanges between the characters, whether it's Mikey and Don, Leo and Raph, Casey and April, Don and Casey, Raph and Splinter, or everyone in one room. The dialogue is always entertaining, witty, and moves the story along at a good pace. The movie isn't just impressive in the storytelling department, but the visuals are also very engaging, and this is most likely thanks to director, then newcomer Steve Barron, who at that point had only ever made music videos. One of those being yeah, this is the man responsible for creating what is probably the best known music video of the 80s. Well, that isn't Thriller. And with his keen eye for striking visuals, he was able to use elements like lighting, quick editing cuts, shadows, and unusual camera angles to give the film a look that was stylized but still felt very real. Now, amazing as he may be, Barron can't be given all the credit for the visuals. A hefty chunk of that also goes to the insanely talented staff at Jim Henson Creature Shop for bringing the radical reptiles to life. The costumes and animatronics, even to this day, still look very good. And since the sequels went for a less realistic look, it's in this film that the Turtles and Splinters look their very best. As for the music, there isn't much to say. All the tracks were composed by John Duprez, and they consist of a handful of synth tunes that are very catchy, but not particularly that impressive from a compositional standpoint. Though I will contest that Shredder's Suite is one of the most awesome themes ever. Not only is it so epic that I use at the end of every TMNT related video I've made, but I dare say that it is the best fight music ever. Seriously, where the fuck is the Shredder's theme goes to everything meme? I mean it, guys, someone needs to get cracking on this, like, now. When it comes to the actors, the film's cast of human characters mostly consists of relatively unknowns. April O'Neil was portrayed by Judith Hoag, who plays the part very well. Whether being serious, sarcastic, sassy, or just a total spaz, her performance is always very convincing. Though some fans were, and still are, displeased with this casting choice, because she's not hot enough to play April. Yeah, good job, guys. Keep it classy. Elias Koteas plays Casey Jones, and is kind of the show stealer of the movie. Almost every line of his is quotable, and Koteas delivers every one of his lines with so much personality that Jones became most fans' favorite character. Other notable casting choices include famous Japanese swordsman Toshishiro Obata as Foot Clan teacher Tatsu, and the then unknown Sam fucking Rockwell, who played a recurring thug. And even though it's a very small part early in his career, you can see that he had some talent. It also didn't hurt that he had some of the best lines. The Turtles, since they're mutants, have about 3 actors each. One for the normal scenes, one for the stunts, and one for the voice acting. And all of them do a good job at it. But I really have to hand to the stuntmen that had to perform those complicated fight sequences and choreography while wearing 50 pounds of bulky turtle suit. As for the voice actors, some are veterans of the craft, some are nobodies, and some are B-movie superstars. And they're all good across the board. I mean, there's nothing Oscar-worthy, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a poorly delivered line. As a whole, this is a great movie, and one that is criminally underrated. It has a rotten rating of 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, but that does have a bit to do with the times, since most reviewers then were snotty douchebags looking for high art. But even if you look up a list of the best comic book movies of all time, you won't see this film anywhere on it, or even on a list for the most overlooked comic book movies, and it really deserves better than that. And I'm not saying that it's perfect, or it's even the best comic book movie I've ever seen, but it is a very well-made film that's loved by fans of the franchise, and though it could be better, there's nothing really wrong about anything that it does. It keeps things simple, and with a small budget of only $13.5 million and some excellent execution, Steve Barron and his team not only produce a fine film, but my favorite movie of all time. Yeah, this is my favorite movie. And I know I've seen much better movies. I don't fucking care. And it's not just nostalgia. There are plenty of things I liked as a kid that I think are terrible now. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie isn't one of those. I just don't know what else to say. It's
awesome! Bodacious! Yeah! Good shit! Yeah! Gnarly! Radical! Yeah! Totally toothless, dude! Wicked! Delicious!
Yeah, there you go. You know, if Richard Donner's Superman made you believe a man could fly, then Steve Barron's TMNT made you believe that giant talking turtles lived in a sewer and learned martial arts from a rat. Okay, so that doesn't sound as good on a movie poster, but I'd say it's a bit more impressive. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends, share it with your family, though your family probably won't give a shit about the videos I make. I know mine doesn't. But yeah, every little bit helps.